Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Housewife Historian. We are here to talk Real Housewives today, and we're going to be talking a little bit about Tamara and some things discussed at the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip about Denise Richards, the allegations. We're going to talk about some of Kathy's camp starting to unfollow Erika, actually it's not her camp, but family. And then also I want to talk quickly about a reality blurb magazine that came out talking about Kyle possibly being on the chopping block for next season. So before we get started though, guys, go ahead and hit that like button. I'm trying to grow my channel, so please subscribe and turn those notifications on, guys. These women live coast to coast, other countries. You never know what's going on in the Bravo world, and if you want to be up to date, you got to turn your notifications on. So let's get started. So we know that Tamara is back as a full-time housewife of Orange County. I did a whole video on it. I think it was my last video actually, so you can check that out if you want to know all of the details surrounding the announcement of her return. Now here's some things you may not have heard yet. Number one, who was the first person to congratulate Tamara when it was announced that she would be back full-time, after she announced it that she would be back full-time? Because we know there was like this issue with Jill Zarin coming out and making the announcement, and allegedly Vicki kind of put her up to it, and it was literally like 5 hours before Tamara was going on Watch What Happens Live and making the announcement herself. So it turns out that Miss Heather Dubrow was the first person to call Tamara and congratulate her back. Isn't that coincidental, guys? Don't you think that that's really coincidental that Heather was the very first person to call Tamara and like wish her back out of like the Bravo family and the women? I thought that was a little strange. I feel like that was strategic, if you will. So she's also going to be staying on the podcast. So thank goodness, guys, she will remain on the 2T's podcast. She says she won't be able to discuss the Real Housewives of Orange County. And I found this kind of surprising because, number one, Heather Dubrow does an entire podcast, and she talks about the Real Housewives of Orange County, even though she is a full-time housewife. I really thought that we were getting something similar to, like, I don't know, maybe Candy Burrows, like how she has Candy from the Real Housewives of Atlanta has it's called like Late Talk or Late Night Talk, something along those lines, but they talk Real Housewives of Atlanta all the time. So she's kind of able to tell her other side of things that maybe producers didn't add in there, or there was a bad edit. She can bring it up and discuss it, and fans get to hear like her side of the story no matter what. And it's kind of the same thing with Heather. She's on her podcast, she's discussing things that are happening on Orange County, and then she's giving her opinion about it. It's kind of giving them an open platform. So do you guys agree with that Heather is able to keep her podcast and she can talk about the Real Housewives of Orange County, but Tamara cannot? Just seems weird, guys. I don't know, just saying. Vicki really lets Tamara have it on her relationship with Teddy. I don't know if you guys watched What Happens Live when Teddy was brought up and Vicki said that she doesn't like her. P.S. Steve was on the internet bashing Vicki somewhat. He like basically opened a beer. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Steve Lodge, Vicki's ex-boyfriend that broke up with her when she left to go on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. He also ran for governor of California. He lived in her house in Mexico for 13 months while she stayed in Orange County and worked. And yes, he's a retired police officer, some sort of something. I think he was a police officer. Anyways, he like had some sort of beer. I don't know if it was called bitter or bitterness, and he like cracked it open, take a drink, and he was like, "Ooh, that's bitter." And then the caption basically like was passive aggressive but encrypted towards Vicki about dealing with bitterness, like how it's okay as long as you don't deal with it for too long type statement. It was not a compliment. It was very passive aggressive and, like I said, encrypted, but obviously about Vicki. Also, let's see here. Kyle was very busy in the blogs. She was letting Reality Blurb know that she loves Teddy and she thinks that she would be a great addition back to Beverly Hills, that she could come back on and be herself and fans would love her. And Kyle loves her so much, and she just knows that fans would love her so much too. She just didn't get to be herself. And she also said she wanted Brandi Glanville back. So, I mean, she put Brandi Glanville and Teddy in the same category and said she would love to have them both back. So, what does that tell you, Teddy? I'm sorry, but she put you in the category of Brandi Glanville when we know damn well she don't want Brandi Glanville back on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Come on now. Also wanted to let you guys know that I will be going on Jenny's Bravo and Blaze. I don't know if you guys have ever checked out her podcast. It's an Apple podcast. She also has an Instagram. Super, super like nice person, and she runs an account on Instagram where she keeps like funny memes, but of course, you know, up to date things as well about the housewives. And then she has, like I said, her whole Apple podcast. So we are going to get together on Tuesday and come up with something for you guys, possibly talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta. I would like to know what you guys think. Is there any specific topic you would like us to discuss? If not, I was going to talk Real Housewives of Atlanta since it airs on Sunday, and that could be kind of a review and a breakdown, and also talk about Sheree and her situation with her new boo thing. Just saying, we'll talk about it later. Okay. She said also, Tamara said, are you guys ready for this? She said it on the Real Housewives. She said it on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. She said, she basically vindicated Brandi and said that she met Denise at Bravocon last year, and that Denise tried to hook up with her. That Denise was texting her and wanting her to come to her hotel room because it was Bravocon, and according to Tamara, allegedly, everything, of course, in this video is alleged, especially about Denise. Don't be mad. Allegedly, Tamara just kept replying and telling her, I'm married. Like, I can't sleep with you and come to your hotel room. I'm so sorry, Denise. I'm married. This is the recap that she gave. And she acted like when she said it on the Real Housewives the Ultimate Girls Trip that it was very hard for her to say. She was like, oh my gosh, I should not have said that. But since I already did, I'm going to give you guys the whole story from beginning to end. And she's like, basically, she wanted to F me, and she was texting me and wanting me to come to her hotel room. And Dorinda looked at Brandi and said, like, you're vindicated. Like this kind of vindicates you, Brandi. If Tamara's saying, like, look, she was willing to cheat on her husband, allegedly, during Bravocon when she was trying to sleep with me, then it's very possible that Brandi slept with her, and then this whole situation happened, and she wasn't exactly truthful about it for obvious reasons. I mean, she's not even on the show anymore. Well, she was when Brandi came out and said it, but they kind of blindsided her right in the middle of the season, and she was a newlywed. I mean, she really had no choice. What was she going to say? Like, her and that man had just gotten married not that long, or they got married like the season before that, you know? So she had to lie. I'm sorry, but she had to lie. She had no other choice, really. I mean, I guess she did kind of have another choice, but I'm just saying. Denise's style isn't, you know, counseling and therapy and, you know, whatever. Denise's style is lie, deny, and then try to hook up with Tamara a couple months later at Bravocon. It's just her style. It's her swag. We can't hate her for it. Anyways, more importantly, another thing that happened over the weekend is that Paris Hilton unfollowed Erika Jayne. Yes, Paris Hilton unfollowed Erika Jayne, and I think that gives us a really good inkling on what we are going to be seeing these next couple episodes with Bravo and the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We're going to be seeing a Kathy that is out of her character, not something that we would probably normally see. And she's already kind of prepping us for this because she's saying like, oh, I traveled a ton and I had all this press to do for Paris, which is probably true. And she probably was traveling time zones from like New York to LA. I'm going to give her that. That can definitely make you loopy. You're tired, you're sleepy, you're in different time zones. You're probably taking some sort of amazing medication to help you on your plane ride, help you sleep, help you stay awake. I'm sure she has it all. Regardless, she is already kind of doing damage control and prepping us to let us know that she is not going to be the same Kathy that we saw last season, at least not right away. I do believe, in my opinion, that Kathy is not used to working, guys. She's used to being like a woman that stays at home and throws charity parties and does those sorts of activities. Not someone, like, she tells the rules. She gives the directions. She tells everyone what to do. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's difficult for her, who hasn't worked in how many years, like worked under somebody, worked under a corporation, worked under a 3-letter production company, tell her where she needs to be and what she needs to film and etc. Like, I think that Kathy still likes to go out and have a good time, and I don't know how few and far between those good times are, but we know how Kathy and Rick used to party. And I even think that she probably still has a little bit of her foot in the water when it comes to that, because we do see her out at Craig's and we see her wearing a tablecloth home, and we see her hanging out with the morally corrupt Faye Resnick and her drug dealer, allegedly, the same one we saw in the episode with the, Dorit. Let me know if you guys want to know more about that. He's allegedly the drug dealer to the stars. But we see Kathy with these people, so we have to assume that she is taking part in what they take part in, or she wouldn't be hanging out with them. So I think that those are the times where she goes out and she's used to just being like, yeah, let's have a good time. Like, I have no responsibilities, versus I got to film tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and the cameras are going to be there at 8 to set up. Like, I got to go home. She's like, I don't got, I'm Kathy Hilton. I can do whatever I want. And then we see her with sunglasses walking around her house, which was a dead giveaway, I think. And anyone that's probably dealt with someone that suffers with alcoholism or drug issues, or I could even say mental health issues, it's a little bit off to be walking around your house in the middle of the day with sunglasses on, unless if you have a migraine or you're recovering or you're still a little loopy. I mean, she did serve a baked potato as an entree. She was scooping the caviar on it, and she was loving every second of it. And then she did take her sunglasses off, and she looked amazing. So I don't know how long between, like, when Bravo acted like Kathy was going to answer the door and, say hi to Kyle, and her walking down the steps in her sunglasses. Like, how far in between was it? Like, production showed up and wanted to film a little bit with Kathy maybe before she had, makeup, or who knows. But anyways, it's just a little suspicious, and it makes me keep a closer eye on her, because we see that, then we hear these stories about Aspen. Lisa Rinna locked her door, that Kathy was going crazy. We know that she posted on Rick's Instagram in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning, and she did do an interview stating that she was scared. She woke up in Kyle's house and there was nobody there, and right away that seemed completely off. If Kyle was hosting the women at Aspen, she would have a full staff of people that would be there. I mean, if you're inviting 10 women to Aspen and you have a whole production company, you have to, make sure that you're accommodating, and I'm sure that they had a whole staff of people taking care of them. And they would have been, Kyle's staff, and some of them would have been staying at the house 1,000%, and that Kathy wouldn't have stayed there by herself. Now, the other strange part is, kind of strange, but kind of not. She posted on Rick's Instagram at 2:30 in the morning, was like, I have to get out of here, exclamation point. Now, she claims that she posted it on his Instagram because he leaves his phone in his office and goes on the iPad and scrolls through Instagram. Still very, very strange, right? And now we've heard a couple other stories. We're starting to hear how exhausted she was, how she was doing press for Paris and New York, and then she had to fly back, and she had to wait 3 hours in between, and she was already a little disgruntled when she got there, and she says that she just needed to vent, and that she did it privately with someone, which would, i.e., would be Lisa Rinna. And she said that it was private, it was just her and the other person, and she was just venting. And unfortunately, that person took that and ran with it, and we're gonna see that on the show, which is Kathy's version. Also, somebody peed on Kathy's couch. What do you guys think about her saying that? I believe it, because she has that crazy son too. Don't you guys know he was like drunk on that airplane, telling everyone how much money he had and how they were. Sorry, guys, one of those days. And telling everyone how they were peasants and all this craziness. Like, who knows with these people, right? Also, back to the reality, this is where it gets really juicy. Ugh, I should do 2 parts because this is 15 minutes, so it's going to take forever to upload. I'm going to do 2 parts, guys. I'm sorry. Hang on. This is part 1. I'm going to do part 2 back to back, and I'll upload them back to back, so just keep an eye out. All right, guys, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe, please. Help me grow my channel.